Do you notice something different? For more than a decade, they were the definition of stability, familiar faces, trusted voices, a couple that seemed almost immune to collapse. Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford were together for 14 solid years, and to the public, their marriage felt untouchable, calm, reliable, permanent. Then, in 2024, it quietly fell apart. No public meltdown, no dramatic scandal, just a carefully worded statement, and the end of a relationship millions believed would last forever. They separated, went their own ways, and for a while, the story seemed settled. Since then, the public mostly heard Ruth's side. Her words shaped the headlines. Her explanation became the narrative. Her version defined how people understood the breakup. Eamonn stayed silent. No interviews. No clarifications. No defense. Until now. At 66, Eamonn Holmes is finally speaking, and what he's saying doesn't just add context. It changes the tone of everything. It reframes how the breakup looks and forces a second look at what was really happening behind closed doors. So why did he wait this long? And what finally pushed him to tell his side of the story? This is Eamonn Holmes. The rise, the silence, and the story you were never meant to hear. Long before the headlines, the breakups, and the carefully managed statements, Eamonn Holmes was just a Belfast schoolboy learning how to hold a room. Educated at Holy Family Primary School, then St. Malachy's College, and later the Dublin College of Business Studies, nothing about his path screamed celebrity. What it did suggest was discipline, routine, and comfort with structure, qualities that would later define his entire career. His first real break came in 1979, when he joined Ulster Television as a young presenter and reporter on Farming Ulster. It wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't national, but it was real broadcasting, live television, real pressure. It taught him how to think on his feet and how to speak to people without performing at them. From there, he moved naturally into sports coverage, learning the mechanics of live TV the hard way, through repetition, mistakes, and pressure. By 1982, Ulster Television trusted him with the anchor's chair on Good Evening Ulster. It was a quiet but powerful vote of confidence. Holmes wasn't just reading scripts anymore. He was shaping conversations, setting tone, and becoming a familiar presence in Northern Irish homes. He expanded beyond news, hosting pageants, specials, and live events, proving he could move between serious journalism and light entertainment without losing credibility. When he left Ulster Television in 1986 to join the BBC, it wasn't an escape, it was a promotion. Based in Manchester, he joined Open Air on BBC One, broadcasting nationally and learning what it meant to speak to millions instead of thousands. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. In 1993, Eamonn Holmes joined GMTV, helping launch its very first broadcast. Morning television is unforgiving. You're live, exhausted, and expected to be sharp while the country is barely awake. Holmes thrived. He became part of people's daily routines, the steady voice easing them into the day. Even when tensions surfaced behind the scenes, including a well-publicized falling out with Anthea Turner, Holmes stayed grounded. When he finally left GMTV in 2005, he didn't leave quietly. He openly stated the show had drifted away from real journalism and leaned too heavily into celebrity fluff. That honesty followed him. 6 months later, Sky News brought him in for Sunrise, and once again, Holmes settled into early mornings, keeping the tone steady and conversational. Over the years, he became one of television's most versatile presenters. Snooker, darts, horse racing, tennis, quiz shows, panel shows, faith programming like Songs of Praise, and game shows such as Jet Set. He didn't chase prestige, he chased reliability. Even when he joined This Morning in 2006, Holmes leaned into what he did best, making live television feel unscripted but safe. That approach reached its peak when he began presenting alongside Ruth Langsford. Their relationship didn't begin as a public romance or a television pairing designed for viewers to fall in love with. When they met in 1997, through a mutual friend, the timing demanded caution. Eamonn had separated from his first wife 2 years earlier, and from the start, a decision was made. This relationship would stay private, not hidden. Private. That choice shaped everything. Years later, Ruth would say that Eamonn's insistence on privacy made her feel secure, not sidelined. It showed her the kind of man he was. Nearly 2 years passed before they went public, and by then, the relationship was already solid. In 2002, they welcomed their son, Jack, quietly shifting the center of their lives. By 2006, their personal and professional worlds fully intertwined when Eamonn joined Ruth on This Morning. Ruth was already a fixture, having joined the show in 1999. Working together wasn't always easy, but over time they became one of daytime television's most recognizable partnerships. Shows followed: Gift Wrapped, How the Other Half Lives, Lose a Stone in 4 Weeks, Eamonn and Ruth's 7-Year Itch. Their chemistry became part of their brand. Marriage and television slowly blurred into one. They married years later at Elvetham Hall in Hampshire and bought a 6-bedroom home in Weybridge, Surrey. From the outside, it looked like permanence. Then came 2020. They were abruptly dropped from This Morning. Professionally, it was a shock. Personally, it created distance. Ruth stayed with ITV. Eamonn moved in a different direction, joining GB News. For the first time in years, they were no longer moving together. At the same time, Eamonn's health was deteriorating. Years of pain led to a double hip replacement in 2016. Shingles struck in 2018. By 2021, severe back pain left him struggling to walk. 3 slipped discs changed everything. Some days, he couldn't move without help. Ruth stood by him. But long-term illness changes relationships. Care replaces balance. Patience replaces freedom. In 2022, spinal surgery was meant to fix everything. Instead, recovery stalled. Then came a devastating fall down 18 stairs, leaving him with a broken shoulder and further damage. By 2023, Eamonn admitted the truth. He couldn't walk properly, couldn't run, could barely function without assistance. Ruth spoke publicly about acceptance, about the possibility that he might never fully recover. And then came the moment that ended everything. For months, the marriage was explained gently: career pressure, health struggles, drifting apart. But the real ending didn't arrive slowly. It arrived suddenly. Inside their Surrey home, Eamonn believed he was alone. While speaking on the phone, he had no idea Ruth could hear him. That call, one she was never meant to hear, changed everything. And once she did, whatever they had left collapsed instantly. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the moment the public story stopped matching the private truth. And for the first time in decades, Eamonn Holmes is no longer staying silent about it.